You've already been judged before you even said a word. Before your ideas, before your intelligence, before your true personality had a chance to exist, someone decided who you are. And the unsettling part? They felt confident about it. You've experienced this before. That moment when you walk into a room and instantly feel either welcomed or quietly rejected. No one says anything directly, but something shifts. A glance, a tone, a subtle change in energy. And within seconds, a version of you is created in someone else's mind. Not based on truth, not based on depth, but based on fragments, tiny signals you didn't even realize you were sending. Here's what most people never question. If first impressions are formed so quickly, how accurate can they really be? And more importantly, who is actually in control of that moment? Because once that impression is formed, it doesn't just disappear, it follows you, influences decisions, shapes opportunities, and quietly determines how people treat you, long before they know you. By the end of this, you're going to see first impressions in a completely different way, and more importantly, you'll understand how to take control of something most people don't even realize is happening. Before we go deeper, I want to be clear. Everything discussed on this channel is strictly for educational purposes. Understanding dark psychology is about building awareness, not weaponizing it. If you or someone you know is in a harmful situation, please seek support from a licensed professional. This is a space for growth, clarity, and protection, nothing else. First impressions are the silent architects of your social world. They are the rapid judgments people form about you within seconds of meeting you, often before a full sentence is even spoken. And here's the truth most people underestimate. These impressions are not random. They are built from patterns your brain has been collecting your entire life. When someone sees you for the first time, their mind immediately starts scanning for signals. Are you safe? Are you confident? Are you someone worth paying attention to or avoiding? Imagine walking into a job interview. You've prepared your answers. You know your qualifications. But before you even sit down, the interviewer has already formed an opinion. Not because of what you said, but because of how you walked in, how you held eye contact, how you carried yourself. That impression becomes the filter through which everything else is judged. If it's positive, your mistakes are overlooked. If it's negative, even your strengths are questioned. This is why understanding first impressions isn't about trying to impress people. It's about recognizing the invisible process that shapes how people perceive you, and learning how to navigate it with awareness. Layer 1, the speed of judgment. The first layer is speed. Your brain, and everyone else's, is wired for efficiency, not accuracy. Within milliseconds, it starts making assumptions based on minimal information. Facial expressions, posture, clothing, tone, and all processed instantly. This is not a conscious decision. It's automatic. For example, someone meets you for the first time. You avoid eye contact for just a moment too long. Their brain might interpret that as insecurity, or even distrust. Now here's the important part. That interpretation may not be true, but once it's formed, it becomes real in their mind, and their behavior toward you begins to shift based on that assumption. Why this matters? You're not just being seen, you're being interpreted, and that interpretation happens faster than you can correct it. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Layer 2, the power of subtle signals. Most people think first impressions are about big things. What you say, what you do. But in reality, it's the subtle signals that carry the most weight. Your tone of voice, the way you pause before answering, your facial tension. These small details communicate more than your words ever will. Imagine two people saying the exact same sentence. Nice to meet you. One says it with steady eye contact and a relaxed posture. The other says it while looking distracted and slightly tense. Same words, completely different impression. Because the brain trusts nonverbal signals more than verbal ones. In another scenario, someone might appear overly eager, smiling too much, speaking too quickly. Instead of coming across as friendly, they might be perceived as trying too hard, and that creates discomfort. Why this matters? People don't respond to what you say. They respond to how you make them feel. And those feelings are triggered by signals you may not even be aware of. Most people stop here, but you need to know the next layer. Layer 3, the stickiness effect. Once a first impression is formed, it sticks. This is known as confirmation bias. The brain starts looking for evidence to support its initial judgment, and ignores anything that contradicts it. If someone thinks you're confident, they'll interpret your silence as calmness. If they think you're insecure, that same silence becomes awkwardness. Same behavior, different meaning. Let's say someone meets you on a day when you're tired and distracted. They form a negative impression. Now every future interaction is filtered through that lens. Even when you show your true personality later, it takes significantly more effort to change that original perception. Why this matters? You don't get unlimited chances to define how people see you. The first version of you they create becomes the default, and changing it requires time, consistency, and awareness. Here's the twist most people never realize. First impressions are not about perfection. They're about emotional clarity. People are not analyzing you logically in those first few seconds. They are feeling you. And what they're really asking is this: do I understand this person? Or do they confuse me? Confusion creates discomfort. Clarity creates trust. This means you don't need to be the most attractive, the most intelligent, or the most charismatic person in the room. You just need to be consistent in the signals you send. When your body language, tone, and expressions align, people feel a sense of certainty, and certainty feels safe. But when your signals are mixed, confident words with nervous body language, or friendly smiles with distant energy, the brain struggles to categorize you. And when it struggles, it defaults to caution. This is why some people instantly command respect without saying much, while others try harder and still feel overlooked. It's not effort, it's alignment. Once you understand this, you stop trying to impress people, and you start controlling the clarity of the message you're sending. Strategy 1. Control your first 10 seconds. The beginning of any interaction carries the most weight. Focus on your posture, eye contact, and pace. Slow down slightly. Rushed energy often signals nervousness. Those first moments don't need to be perfect. They need to feel grounded. Strategy 2. Align your signals. Make sure your body language matches your words. If you're speaking calmly, your movements should reflect that. If you're expressing confidence, your posture should support it. Alignment removes confusion and builds trust instantly. Strategy 3. Reduce unconscious tension. Pay attention to small signs of tension: tight jaw, restless hands, forced smiles. These signals are picked up subconsciously by others. Relaxing these micro-expressions can dramatically shift how you're perceived. Strategy 4. Observe before you react. Before trying to make a strong impression, take a moment to read the environment. Match the energy of the situation before gradually leading it. This creates a sense of connection instead of resistance. Think about the last time you met someone new. Within the first few seconds, what did you assume about them? And now ask yourself this: how often do you think others are doing the exact same thing to you? Without you realizing it, first impressions are not just moments. They are silent decisions that shape everything that follows. They are fast, emotional, and often inaccurate, but incredibly powerful. And once you understand how they work, you stop being controlled by them and start navigating them with awareness. In the next video, we're going to expose a behavior pattern that quietly destroys trust in relationships. Something so subtle, most people don't even realize they're doing it. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it.